Hello there, right here we have brand new snapshot for 1.16.2. This is 20W29A. In this snapshot, they come out with a couple new features as well as fix quite a few bugs. And if you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, as less than 30% of everybody who watches my videos has clicked that button. And right after the snapshot review, guys, we are going to be opening up a testing world with the viewers. You guys can hop on as we try out these new changes and design new farms and machines that use these mechanics. And you can find all the information about it at my Twitch link down below. Now let's get into all the new features and changes. They fixed the bug that one of you guys showed me during our snapshot testing, which is player being in spectator mode is actually able to stop minecarts if they stand in front of them. In the past versions, Vindicators as well as pillagers who don't have a weapon make this kind of arm salute, which could be considered offensive. Now in some cultures this arm salute is still widely used, and it's used as a greeting more than anything else. So now the Vindicators will have two hands raised if they have no weapon. If they have a weapon, they just have the one hand that's holding the weapon raised. Same thing goes for pillagers. There was a bug to do with mining, and if the player would have latency, the block that they're mining might reappear, but what would also change is that the player's camera would also reset prior to them breaking the block. This bug has been fixed. In the world gen settings, if that is left empty, the structure's parameter generates all structures extremely frequent. This has now been changed to a default. The first change that they did is they reorganized the tools so that all the similar material type of tools are all together. So we got all the wood, stone, and etc. It makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for, as the wood and the netherite look kind of similar, and I often will pull out the wooden hoe instead of like the netherite hoe. I really love it when they reorganize the creative menu to be more intuitive, especially if they would come in here and change out the redstone. The redstone components are actually at the beginning rather than way down here. They should put all the duplicate stuff way down here at the bottom, and should put all the unique stuff at the top. And there's actually a lot of instances like this where like gunpowder is over here in this menu, even though gunpowder could also be used for brewing. And this is miscellaneous, where this is actually a named tab. Same thing for the brewing tab. We got some materials here, we got one material way over here, and we got some materials at the very bottom. It's quite confusing to come across and try to memorize where stuff is at. They added some more parameters for set roll spawn. Not only can you set the coordinates, but now you can also set which direction you want players to face. And you can also do this for spawn points of players. So we'll do this. Now if we die, you see we're rotated at a 45-degree angle. This way when people come into like your world, they're looking at something that you built rather than always be pointing the same direction. They also tweaked the world gen so that the noise setting allows it to contain noise configurations, which gives the more natural looks of stuff. They also made a change to soul sand as well as path blocks, whose heads are inside them will now suffocate once again. This is probably the 5th time that they have changed this mechanic, so maybe this will be the way that it stays forever. All the bugs surrounding like soul sand and path blocks have to do with them trying to give them unique properties, while still keeping the majority of the properties the same as other blocks. And before this change that they made to soul sand, it used to have multiple layers inside of it, so you could actually stand halfway inside of it and not fall completely through. It is important that some blocks like soul sand have unique properties. Allows us to do a lot more interesting things than if everything in the game was pretty much the same. And I really look forward to them to adding unique properties with every new block that comes into the game. There was a bug that cats were drowning in boats. Not when you're normally rowing them, but when you do the sprint key, while going in the seemingly faster mode, the cats were actually drowning, and they fixed that bug. When the striders are out here in the rain, they do take damage. What if a baby was riding on top of an adult and it started to rain? The adult being in the lava shouldn't take damage, but the baby who's on top should take damage, and they weren't, so they changed that. They also fixed another bug to do with spectators, which is spectators could actually have boats land on top of their heads, which is clearly not something you want to have. Enchantment wasn't showing up properly on blocks that were transparent if you had the fabulous settings enabled. So now that should be fixed. They fixed this bug where the player would be in creative just slightly above a block. If they're holding crouch plus space for the same time, they wouldn't be able to leave the premise of this block, similar as if they were crouching on the block. They fixed the problem we seen last snapshot, which was hitboxes were rendering off-centered. It made stuff look really weird, especially hoppers. In the last snapshot, birch hill forest generating of trees was very scarce. It looked very strange. You can see it here, and now that is fixed. In the last snapshot, if you died with Tomum dying, they give you fire resistance 2 effect instead of level 1, as level 1 and level 2 do the exact same thing. And here you can see what it used to look like. They fixed a bug where bone meal was only producing grass and never producing flowers. They also fixed a bug to do with giant trees and how they produce those kind of blobs of leaves to make them look more natural. They also fixed some slight bugs to do with elytras, and sometimes they're not showing up as being glittered when they are enchanted. And the last few snapshots, we have seen them fixing some pretty important bugs, many of which we talked about in the video covering 25 bugs that still exist in 1.16. But one of the bugs that hasn't been fixed that we mentioned was this one, where there is items inside of a hopper. It's trying to pull out stuff that is inside of a composter. And if the composter would try to make bone meal, it would end up trying to put that bone meal into this hopper, but the hopper is full, so the bone meal ends up getting destroyed. And this is a pretty problematic bug and is considered as being important. And this bug did affect my infinitely automatic fungus tree farm. It would be nice to see that it get fixed. This snapshot was kind of a smaller one, not as many features, not as many bug fixes. So we'll probably be looking at a pre-release next week, or they might be doing their candidate release. And of course, the biggest change for 1.16.2 when it comes out is going to be the piglin brutes, and probably the second biggest change is going to be the piglin bartering, as it did get a pretty big nerf. If you guys still run into bugs, make sure you report them on the bug tracker, as well as tell me about them down in the comments, and hopefully they'll get fixed before the full release. Remember, after this video ends, to hop on over to my Twitch, where we will be playing on the new Snapshot world, and all you guys are invited to hop onto the world with us as we build new farms using these changes. And as always, don't forget to share this video with your favorite Minecrafter so you can learn about all the changes coming out with the new versions, as well as leave a like on the video. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!